Hey everybody, welcome to the Video Game Break Podcast. I'm your host, Carl Sodella. Today I'm joined by...
Taylor of Terror.
And also...
Skeletoni.
Which, that's their real names. And they are from the Grave Plot Podcast. You should go check that out. It's a horror movie podcast. Also, not just movies, but TV shows and everything, right?
TV shows, comics.
Yeah, pretty much
Everything.
We call ourselves our one-stop shop for... I screwed it up again. One-stop spot for all things horror.
Well, there's two S's there, so it's tricky.
Yeah.
One-stop
The
spot.
stop and spot is...
Yeah.
But we didn't want to steal Fred Meyer's slogan, so... You know.
What's their slogan?
I don't know.
Something.
Then how would you know if you stole it? That doesn't make any sense,
They
Taylor.
seem like a one-stop shop.
Oh, I get it. Okay. In you just in concept, you don't want to steal their...
Right.
I got it.
Yeah, isn't it like your neighborhood one-stop shop or something like that?
It's hard to say stop shop. People shouldn't use that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about video games today, guys. What we normally do is we do 3 stages, Hyper, Turbo, and Super. We'll do a little bit of the Hyper stage and mainly focus on the Turbo and Super because they're about horror video games. We're going to talk about that today.
Right on.
Obviously, you guys could talk about horror stuff, and you just said you'd talk about horror everything, so let's talk about horror video games. Before we get started, though, real quick, I'd like to ask a guest on the show, what is your first video game console you played, and maybe some early memories from that?
I think the first one I played was the Atari 2600. My grandpa had one, and I remember playing it with my cousin.
Wait, your grandpa had one? Mm-hmm. Did he buy it for himself? Because that's awesome.
I think he had it for the kids to play.
Oh, that's nice.
And but I don't have a lot of memories of that. I remember playing Pitfall, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
As far as like my first memories, it's the NES.
And what game specifically?
The Mario Brothers, Duck Hunt. I remember playing a lot of Duck Hunt.
That was a big deal. That was like light gun. We're like, what? We can
Yeah.
shoot at the screen? That's crazy.
Yeah, Rad Racer.
Oh.
Excite Bike.
Psych Bike, it's still good.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
First system was probably the original Nintendo NES system. And what was the second part?
Oh, just a game that you remember, like one that stands out.
Jeez. I think I was always really drawn to Super Mario Brothers, just the first game. I don't know why. I mean, it's really basic as far as games go, but that was always my favorite game. I mean, until bigger, better things came along. But
Yeah. Well, I think what it was is that we had never seen something like that before. You know, Taylor mentioned Atari. There was a lot of really bad graphics. It was kind of a fad at some point. Like, oh, these little video games. And arcade games were popular, but they were still just about points. And getting the higher score. But Super Mario Brothers was a little world where, like, you're this plumber and you kill turtles. I don't get it.
Yeah.
And I think that spoke to a lot of us, especially in the west in the West Side in America, where the Japanese had such a weird kind of sense of different anime and just different things that we didn't maybe have over here.
Right.
So to see that in a video game, I think was kind of compelling. All right, so you guys both had the Nintendo memories. What's like a recent video game memory? Did you buy the systems all the way along, or did you just stop playing for a while? Or
after Nintendo, I kind of moved on to I had a Super Nintendo. Then after that, I went to Sega, and I had the Sega Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I think I moved on to the PS1. Then I had a PS2, and now I have an Xbox 360.
Yeah. Did you have Xbox One? Because you're talking about an Xbox game
Not
today.
Xbox One, but I had the original Xbox.
That's what I mean. Sorry. Yeah.
It's confusing. I don't know
I
why
know.
they did that.
That is weird.
When did you have an Xbox?
I had...
Because you're going to talk about later a game for the Xbox.
Yeah.
So you had that, and then you had the 360.
Yeah, I didn't have the sleek one. I had the giant box.
Yeah, yeah. The one that everybody hacked to death.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was, so it sounds like you had a lot of systems then. You were really ran the gamut.
I was usually one behind, though.
Yeah, yeah.
It was like the, Sega Saturn would come out, but then I would get the Genesis.
Yeah.
I couldn't afford the latest and greatest, but I was always one generation behind.
So you've been playing for a while then.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll talk about Dead Rising later because you're excited about that.
I am.
Tony, did you stop at some point, or do you keep buying systems after Nintendo?
I've actually, to this day, I've never bought a system myself.
Oh, okay.
So
it's just in the home.
It's always been a gift. I had my original Super Nintendo, and then I jumped to Super Nintendo,
Oh, so you had Nintendo and Super Nintendo. Yeah.
And I remember actually selling my Nintendo system and all of its games to go buy Street Fighter 2 Turbo.
Oh, nice.
That's what I always had to do. I always had to trade in my system for the new system.
Yeah. And from there, I mean, I rode that Super Nintendo for a long time. I mean, I love that thing. To this day, I still want to get a new one, or get one and try and replace all my games. I wish I had never sold them, but
that's the way I am with Genesis. Like,
yeah.
I really want to get X-Men for Genesis.
Oh, yeah.
And Comic Zone.
That's a good game.
Yeah.
You know what's cool is that now they're doing things, and they sell this over at Pink Gorilla as well, if you're in Seattle. Or Pink Gorilla's online, too. But these different websites where they have new systems that play multiple different types of cartridges. So
Yeah,
they
I've
have
seen
one
those.
that have, like, Japanese Nintendo games, Super Nintendo games, Game Boy games, all in the same system.
Nice.
And then wireless controllers. Like, so we can go back to those types of games. So they're making that available now. So
Yeah, I mean, I know they made a new. Well, I mean, this was probably a decade ago when they first started doing this, but they made new Super Nintendo and regular Nintendo ports, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's like top loader Nintendos now.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway,
Yeah.
So I had Super Nintendo and I had that for years, and then eventually you got a PlayStation 1, and had that for a long time. Then until it got stolen. Actually, our house got robbed, and
Oh, jeez.
some assholes stole it. And then from there, got PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3. So I haven't gotten a 4 yet, but yeah, I've been more a PlayStation guy for a while now.
Cool. It's funny because last time I asked that question, maybe even people don't remember it, but they seem to have a lot of the systems. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like even if they didn't get them themselves, they're in the home, or they're playing their buddies or something like that. So
Yeah.
yeah. All right. Well, let's get into the first stage. That was some good game memories, and it seems like you've passed the first test.
Oh, good.
We're allowed to talk about video games now. There's so many times people say like, "Well, I don't play video games," or "I haven't played them," and if it ended there, I'd be like, "Okay, we can't talk." Then
Show's over.
show's over. So we're not doing that. So this is the
Hyper stage. Hyper.
Oh, you know about that? Do
I
you
listen to the show.
Oh, okay. Taylor knows. I end up having to explain it. I do that in 8-bit sound later in editing. So now Taylor did it. So if you want to do the hyper or the next one,
Okay.
you can just do the same sound. So what we do is this is the part where we talk about some game we're hyper excited about to play, or that we're just hyper excited that we're playing now. And Taylor, you were talking about being hyper excited about Dead Rising.
Yeah, Dead Rising 3. I have the first one. I've played the second one. I don't own it yet, but yeah, I think they're the best zombie game in my opinion. And most people will say Left 4 Dead, but I'm a stickler for slow zombies.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I really like the Dead Rising series, and Dead Island 2 is another good one.
Dead Island's good, but it's buggy. That's the problem.
It is.
It's really buggy.
And it's kind of slow too.
Yeah.
Like the game advancement of the story is very slow.
Dead Rising is very arcadey in a way, but in a good way. Like it's just always action, always you're always going, you're always killing something.
Yeah.
And they do a really interesting job of unlockables, where you can always have these really kind of slightly humorous costumes you can put on.
Yeah.
Like you can dress up as
I like
Santa
the
or something.
like building weapons too.
The crafting is cool. Yeah.
Yeah, like you can make like a fucking weed whacker. Can I swear?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like a weed whacker with a chainsaw on the end or something. Like
Wait. Hold on. Where did you just swear then?
I said fucking.
Oh, I didn't even hear it. I was like, then you're like, okay, good. Now, weed whacker the chain. I'm like, that's not a swear word.
So, anyways, fuck shit, assholes.
Okay, thank you.
Cock, dick.
Yeah, explicit tag attached. Yeah, no, the crafting is great in that. So, and you haven't picked it up yet, the new one. So
3?
Yeah.
No, I haven't yet.
So that's one. It's something that's valid to be hyper excited, but it's a good game. Yeah, you'll enjoy it.
Yeah,
Good.
you're talking about the funny costumes. I saw a screenshot of the new one. The character, whoever it is, was wearing one of those mankinis, like Borat.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's funny how you can change the dynamic of the game.
Yeah.
It's like all this tense moment, but you're like dressed as like Santa, and they're like, I don't know, this isn't that scary. All right, cool. That's a good one. I'm quite excited about pretty much. There's this game called, now I'm gonna forget it. Oh, The Evil Within, and I think you might like that too. It's for the new systems, so you'd have to upgrade. It might be a PS4 exclusive. I'm losing my nerd credibility as we speak. I think it might be all systems. Nowadays, they do games for every system.
Yeah,
Usually.
there's not a whole lot of
Exclusives, originals, yeah. So The Evil Within is something I'm excited about because it's supposed to be creepy and not just gory and, not just
Is
action.
it tied to the movie at all? Because there's a new movie coming out called The Evil Within.
Is it? I don't think it is.
No, it's Evil Within the game. I believe it's a zombie game, right?
Yeah, well, it's a different thing. I'm going to look it up as we're talking just so we don't, totally butcher this. I just remember seeing a trailer for it and thinking that, like we were talking about before the podcast, Taylor and I'm a big fan of the creepy kind of horror, the psychological stuff. And if a video game can do that, that makes me really interested in it.
Yeah.
Because there's going to always be a game where you can kill a bunch of things. And if they're monsters or they're bad guys or they're Nazis, we get that mechanic. But if it's like, try to don't go crazy, that'd be a much cooler game. Okay, so I looked it up, and The Evil Within is also known in Japan as Psycho Break, which is a much cooler name.
Yeah.
It sounds like I was talking about, losing your mind. It's an upcoming survival horror video game released by Tango Gameworks. Don't even know them, but published by Bethesda, which is a well-known publisher. And let's see. While investigating the scene of a gruesome mass murder, Detective Sebastian Castellanos and his partners encounter a mysterious and powerful force. After seeing the slaughter of a fellow officer, Sebastian is ambushed and knocked unconscious. When he awakens, he finds himself in a deranged world where hideous creatures wander among the dead. Okay, yeah. I don't know. I remember seeing a trailer and being excited. If it's psychological and it's horror, I'm on board. Are you excited about any game, or are you playing anything right now, Tony?
Not horror related, no. I've been addicted to the Assassin's Creed series for a while.
Are you playing 4?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, playing Black Flag, and it's different. I don't know if I'm enjoying it as much as the other ones, but it's still good.
I get a little frustrated with that series because the biggest problem I have with that, which also is in Watch Dogs because of the same Ubisoft, is this kind of fail missions where if you get detected once, it's over.
Yeah.
I despise that.
It's pretty frustrating.
How do you get around that and not just lose your mind? How do you personally rationalize okay, I can get this done?
I usually throw my controller.
Okay, that's
up,
a good start.
Go outside, have a cigarette, and come back to it.
So you really do have to leave it, don't you?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, I'll
Yeah.
try it half a dozen times, and if I keep fucking up, then yeah, I'll come back to it later.
But wouldn't you just rather not have them in there? That type of a mission?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would rather. It's like, oh god, I got detected. Okay, then I'll just kill everyone in the room.
Right. And what's weird is that other games do that. Also, other games do that in the same game.
Yeah.
Oh no, don't you understand? This is the time where you can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what? Just a minute ago, I slaughtered a whole room of people.
Yeah.
Why can't I? Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you on that.
It's like I don't want to get too far off topic. But,
Please.
Oh, okay. The Hitman series.
I love Hitman.
Me too. And I love the fact that you can do that all the time. I mean, if you get detected and somebody actually, usually you get caught killing someone, you just kill that person too. Your credibility goes down a little bit, but you still get to complete the mission.
And you can start solving that area a different way. You know what I mean? And sometimes you can do it where you, like you said, you can take out the guy who saw you, and then you're still okay.
Yeah.
Now it's fine again, you know? And that actually logically makes sense. Mm-hmm. Whether it be a movie or real life, if that really happened, you'd be like, well, no one else sees me right now. Yeah. There's not some weird artificial intelligence thing that just knows that I did that. So then that's how it should work.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, you're playing Watch Dogs where there's cameras everywhere and they're watching you.
Right.
Watch Dogs.
Hence the name.
Okay, well, cool. That one's Assassin's Creed's a good series. Unity's coming out next year. They announced it, which will do more of that weird future stuff, I believe, and also the French Renaissance.
Yeah.
Which is a big, huge time period to have a lot of chaos go on. Mm-hmm. So that's a good one to be hyper excited about.
It's just, I guess, horror-wise, the game's been out for a good while now, but I haven't played it yet. Is Resident Evil 6.
Oh yeah.
I've kind of been trying to avoid hearing things about it because I know those games tend to get a lot of negative reviews.
Well, 4 didn't. 4 was amazing.
4 was good.
Yeah.
And for what it was, I enjoyed 5. But yeah, I want to play 6, and I haven't heard much about it.
I think if you played 5, you'll like it. You know, it's all expectations. If you're going in with being like, it's just gonna be a fun zombie game, and I know the series, you know, and you're kind of invested that way, and you know that it's not super serious, you know, and the first one of that series, Resident Evil 1, was the first game, which we could talk about later, but we'll just talk about really quickly now, that really did a lot of those jump scares. You know, like dogs would jump out of the windows or whatever, you know, like there'd be like crazy moments where, whoa, I'm playing a video game, I'm not supposed to be scared. But then I think it went away from that, you know, and it just became this kind of like, it's a survival horror, but it's really like planning out how you're going to kill these guys and things like that. So,
Yeah.
But I think you'll dig it. It's good. 6.
Cool.
All right, let's move on to the next stage, which is...
Turbo Retro.
Then now you're not even doing
I
it.
thought Tony was supposed to do this time. Am I
Oh,
supposed to
you
do
could both do it. Now let's wait. Hold it. Hold for edit.
You say turbo, I'll say retro.
Oh, good. That's good. I'll start.
Turbo Retro. Turbo Retro.
That's great. That's going to sound good. So this is a part of the show where we do an old school question, a retro question, and this one is going to be, what old school horror game did you play back in the day, and did you beat any, and also were you scared or freaked out by any?
Well, the first one I remember is Friday the 13th for NES, which was very loosely tied to the movie series. Like you were chasing Jason through Camp Crystal Lake, and you had to go from cabin to cabin, and each cabin had like dogs or bats or zombies in some of them.
Was there zombies?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Which was weird. And yeah, you were basically just going from cabin to cabin chasing Jason. And it was just the same thing over and over and over again.
I remember that game slightly, and I recently saw some footage of it. It seemed like you were mainly running from him, though. Weren't you trying to get away from him? I thought that's how it was. Instead, maybe you played it like, I'm gonna get Jason. I think you were running away from him.
You could be right.
Yeah, but either way,
I thought you were going from cabin to cabin looking for him.
well, the footage I just recently saw, and it triggered my memory of it because I have a vague memory of it, was that the little character was running from room to room, and all of a sudden Jason would show up, and then would have to go to the different room and like try to save the little kid. Or is it maybe?
I don't know.
Maybe I'm thinking of Halloween.
It's been so long, I don't remember. So you could be right.
Let's just say we're both right.
Okay.
Because it doesn't matter. It's a memory. But you do remember playing that, and any other horror game besides the Friday 13th?
Like as far as NES, no. PS1, there was obviously Resident Evil, and then one like that I really got into was Manhunt for Xbox, which again goes to you guys talking about with like with Assassin's Creed and Hitman, where they have to do like the stalking.
Yeah.
And if you get caught, you would have to run and have to get far enough away where you could hide, or just turn around and start wailing on the guy with a bat or something. But like that one I got really into.
Did you play that?
I played it a few times. Yeah, I liked when you could hide in the shadows. I thought that was a nice.
You needed to hide in the shadows.
Yeah.
They were like, that's a game where it was one of those underpowered games where they're like, you're pretty much going to die a lot, or you could, because we're not giving you any real, abilities or skills or weapons even, really. You have like a baseball bat sometimes.
But here's a plastic bag.
Yeah.
Like start with like a plastic bag, like I move up to a glass shard and then like every once in a while you would just get throwing weapons and you would be like, oh, I have a brick. Oh, I threw the brick. Now I have nothing. I'm going to run.
And the saddest thing is I missed with that brick.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's weird about that game, when it came under fire for having you be able to suffocate people with a bag,
right.
That's one of the biggest like things they got all up in arms about. I remember being like a little freaked out because I'm like, I don't know if I want to kill a guy that way, and I felt we were doing it. But
when it was like you could hold the buttons, and the longer you held the button, the more ruthless the kill was. So it was like one way you would just kind of put the bag over his head until he suffocated. Another way you would put the bag over his head and then like spin his neck around and break his neck.
Wait, I think that would be easier on him. The neck breaking would probably be quicker.
It'd be quicker, but
yeah,
it'd be
more gruesome looking.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like there's the glass shard, you could like stab him in the neck, or you could like slice his throat. And it was.
Wow, that is weird. That was I think Rockstar. Was it Rockstar?
It was Rockstar.
Yeah. Well, that's a good memory for horror. Do you remember beating that game? Because that was hard.
I did not beat it. I think my cousin beat it.
And obviously, you don't remember being Friday the 13th because we can't remember what it was.
I definitely didn't beat that one.
What about you, Tony, for old school horror games?
Well, I mean, I have a minimal memory of playing Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
And,
We all do. It seems like we have a collective, like...
Yeah, well, I mean, it
we all-
came out before... Well, I mean, not before, but, I mean, I think you're the oldest of the group, and you're probably, like, 4 or 5 years old when it came out. So, I mean... that.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
we were like, what was that game again?
Yeah. But, I played it later on, and that and Nightmare on Elm Street.
Now, remind me of that game, because do you remember that at all?
I don't remember much about it. I remember it had it was insanely difficult, and you had to jump back and forth between the real world and the dream world.
Oh, man. I don't remember this game for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, again, I have a very tenuous memory of
I remember it existing. That's really... I don't remember anything else about it.
So the moral of the story is we know that Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, the games for Nintendo, existed.
Right.
That's our nerd
That's as far as we
game
go.
knowledge of it. There's YouTube videos of all that stuff now, so we can go back and remember.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is a fun little pastime because so many Nintendo games were terribly difficult
Yeah.
that I just go back and watch endings now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we can actually see what the ending of Friday the 13th was like. It's probably really bad. Go ahead.
Beyond, God damn it, keep eating this thing. Beyond that, I think I just really got into the Resident Evil games. Those are my favorite games for a long time.
Yeah, that was the first time, like I said, that it got like kind of scary or
Yeah.
like weird. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember playing Resident Evil 1, as comparatively how bad the graphics were back then, it was still creepy. Yeah, I mean, like you're saying, like dogs jumping out at you and birds and even, zombies that you can hear them moaning, but you don't know where they're coming from.
Right. Although I bet you I don't remember playing with headphones back in the day, ever. Nowadays, I feel like I always use headphones when I'm
Yeah.
playing a game. But that would have been even fucking creepier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would have heard those zombies back then.
I can imagine, yeah.
Because we had like a little mono speaker in our TV,
Yeah.
Yeah, that was creepy. And I think that, like you said before, we didn't know any different when it comes to graphics.
Yeah.
So it was like, well, that's scary enough for me.
Yeah.
That's the newest graphics out today, right?
It was funny because playing it then, you were like, oh, man, these graphics are so good.
Oh yeah, yeah. For me, it was, and I've mentioned this on a podcast before, is Silent Hill. So
Oh,
Silent
yeah.
Hill for the PlayStation 1 was the first time where I felt genuinely creepy feeling. And the fog, there was a lot of fog, and monsters kind of lurking in the air somewhere.
Yeah.
And just a general sense of dread. And then because it was, weird Silent Hill world where that alarm goes off and another world appears, that already was freaky anyhow,
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because I completely forgot playing
Silent Hill,
when
yeah.
I was, yeah, the fog was what did it for me. Just not being able to see where I'm going, where anything else is.
Yeah.
And it was just like you get a flashlight. And it was just like in real life. I mean, a flashlight does shit.
Yeah.
In
For the
fog.
fog, it's like 2 feet in front of me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that kind of... there's another game I used to play a long time ago, Clock Tower. Not many people remember it, but there's a guy who comes after you, like a Jason or Michael Myers, and he actually more like Michael Myers because he's really slow, but he's scissor hands. His name's Scissorhands, and he's got scissor hands, and he's trying
It's
to
not
kill
just a
you.
clever name.
No, it's actually his hands. And you're a girl, and you got to run around, and you have nothing, and you literally have to hide in the bathroom when he's coming in there, and he comes in, and you're like, fuck, and you just wait in the toilet and hope that he doesn't find you. And again, PS1 early graphics. No, Super Nintendo actually, super fucking
wow.
Nintendo. And I actually recently got a ROM of it, so you can play it again because it's hard to find. Yeah, it's creepy, even if it's like 2D graphics,
Yeah.
So that, by the way, that's something to be said to developers for the new games. I mean, Dead Rising 3's a fucking great time, but it's still not that kind of creepy ass shit. So that's why I was hoping for Evil Within, or just I want a modern game to do that, just like I like my movies creepy.
Yeah.
Taylor
like
has thoughts.
Like there's the remake of Splatterhouse.
That does not count.
That was. I'm.
I mean, it's awesome.
Hang on.
Okay.
Let me finish.
Okay.
There was the original Splatterhouse for Nintendo. Was it Nintendo or Super Nintendo?
Well,
I think it was-
TurboGrafx 16 is what it originally came
Whoa.
out on. Yes. And then it was also Sega Genesis, I think, after that. But TurboGrafx 16 is
Okay.
how I played it.
And like the original was just weird. Like you would fight like giant eyeballs and
Yep. There's a room where chairs would attack you.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then like the remake is, it's similar. It's definitely not a creepy kind of thing. It's just weird, fucked up visuals after weird fucked up visuals.
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as like creepy games, I can't really think of anything recent that's just been creepy and not. Although Dead Space.
Yeah.
Oh, Dead Space.
Yeah, Dead Space has got that kind of creepy vibe going on. It still comes down to you just blasting aliens like aliens, but
True.
there's definitely a creepy.
But like I
sense
remember
in
one
there.
part where you're walking by and there's a guy who's just standing there with like 2 inches from the wall, just bashing his face against the wall repeatedly. It's
That's
like,
right.
what the fuck?
Yeah. I want more of those what the fuck moments. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, you guys survived level 2, which I don't know. That's not a thing. I just made that up. That there's survival, but there is, and you made it. Let's go. Victory is yours. Let's go to the last stage, which I have to find on my phone here, and is
Super Battle. Battle.
I should do that all as 8-bit. I think I will.
Stupid asshole.
No, it's okay. I'll do super, and then you do.
I got
battle.
excited.
No, that's okay. I didn't know it was going to happen either.
It's true. He spunked in his pants.
Oh, well, that's edited. I'm going to do super, and then you do battle.
Okay.
Super Battle.
Okay, so this is a stage where we normally pit 2 video games against each other, but I thought we'd do this time 2 different. Well, here's what I want to do. So I want to pit scary movies against scary video games, and here's what I mean. Which do you think would be scarier? Playing a really, really high fidelity graphics, PS4, if not PC on a high setting, because they can actually be better than a PS4 or Xbox right now. Super great graphics, amazing visuals, stereo headphones, the lights are off, no one's home, no significant others, no animals around to distract you. You're by yourself. It's Halloween. I don't know, throw that in there. It's fucking... Okay, it's nighttime, you're playing the game. And it's a scary-ass game like the scariest movie you've ever watched to you. Like, whatever. For me, it would be The Shining. Playing The Shining game at home, that freaked me the fuck out. Or...
Rad, why is there not a Shining game?
I know, there should be. Or the same setting, it's Halloween, it's nighttime, no one's here, and you're watching the scariest movie you've ever seen.
Is it a dark and stormy night?
Both times it is, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's the dark and stormy night for both in these scenarios. Which one is scarier? And we have to pick a winner. And now you guys being the movie guys, I'm already thinking you're going movie. But I just, my plea is, I'll throw this out, is that by playing a game, you're literally the one controlling the action. So you're the one who's kind of freaked out that you might die. You know, let's say it's first person to really make it, drive it home.
That's what I was just gonna say. I was gonna say it kind of depends on if it's a first person.
It's
'cause
first.
That's fully immersive.
It's first fucking person, dude.
That's tough because I mean, even the best graphics are still
Okay.
graphics.
It's the
So, I
best
mean-
graphics
Best graphics in the world.
in the world. No, you're right though. Even if it was like,
So I mean, it's still not real people.
do you know what the thing's called? The Uncanny Valley. Have you heard of that?
Yes, you
So
talked about
let's
it on our
say,
show.
we did talk about it. Let's say we've crossed it a little.
Okay.
I don't know why we're making this like not real though,
Yeah, so
because
now
then that's not.
Now it's becoming all right. You're in a movie.
I know. Hold on, you are Freddy.
Jason is actually behind you.
I know. What happens if your father was? Okay, it's just the graphics of today. We can't make it more graphics than they are. But have you seen PS4? It's PS4
Yeah, I mean
and
they're damn good.
and they'll be even better soon. But
So sexy.
are you? Is it a difficult question, or do you think you got?
I think it
the
is
answer?
because I mean, for me, like horror movies don't scare me anymore. Like they'll lift my heart rate a little bit, put me on the edge of my seat, but nothing ever keeps me up at night anymore.
Is there something a little dead inside, or?
I'm probably a little desensitized, sure. But I mean, at the same time, it's like I know they're movies. I know they're all fake. So But yeah, playing a game where you're like fully immersed in it, I could see that sticking with you a little more, just because you have the visual of looking at whatever's attacking you, and having it come right at you instead of just Daniel Harris.
Yeah, and just killing this other extra. It's
Right.
like killing you.
Yeah. So
Especially if it was psychologically a little more intense too,
yeah. So I think my answer is actually like while you're in it, I feel like watching a movie might be scarier, but I feel like playing the game might stick with you longer.
It's not an answer, Tony. I was waiting for that, and that is not an answer. I'll come back to you.
I think I'm going to lean more towards video game, because, like you've said, it's much more immersive, and the results are based on your decisions. I mean, you turn the wrong corner and you die, and or if you are being chased by something and you, for sake of a video game, if you accidentally run into a wall or something, then that fucks you.
Yeah.
As opposed to a movie, especially one that you've seen before, if it's your favorite horror movie, the one that scares you, you still know how it's going to go, beginning, middle, and end. A video game has so many possibilities, especially the newer ones that have adaptive storylines, that they could be changed by your decisions. So I think the fact that you don't necessarily know what to expect next in a video game, I think that makes it a little more scary.
To solidify your answer, to make sure that's your correct answer, say the movie is definitely something you haven't seen before, though. So it's a horror movie that you've never seen. It's not your favorite horror movie. It's just one that you've heard is really scary. Does that change it at all, or is it pretty much the same answer?
I think it's pretty much the same.
All right.
Mainly because I'm a little like Taylor. I've been so...
You both are dead inside.
Yeah.
I get it. You both are dead. And I'll learn about that on your podcast when we record that next after this. All right. So come to the Grave Plot podcast. It's a little dead inside. Actually, that's a good little dead inside.
That's not a bad slogan.
not bad.
Maybe we'll change our
Oh
slogan.
my goodness! Instead of that spot, what is this spot?
One-stop spot
One
for all
stop
things
stop?
horror.
The one that's too fucking hard
A
to
little
say.
dead inside. It's
not-
like it's actually true. You both are dead inside.
We might have to. We might
Oh
have
my
to keep
goodness!
that.
I love that. Okay.
That's- We're putting that on a t-shirt.
I know, it's like kind of fucking awesome. Well, okay, so your vote's that. My vote is video games, unless it's like The Shining, because I'm doing a Taylor right now. But if it's The Shining, like The Shining or a couple movies, only a handful, have affected me. Like
So you're
going
allowed
to
to
bed.
have caveats, and I'm not. Is that
No, I'm not. This is not my final answer. We're both giving an answer. But I will say that I relate to that kind of split decision, because if it's Kubrick or if it's something really fucked up that stays with me, then yeah, it's going to stay with me more than a video game because it was done so well. But that being said, in the majority, horror movies don't do that to me. I'm not dead inside like both of you, but I think that I take them more with me. I mean, I'll take a drama or a sci-fi movie with me, and feel whatever they were feeling afterwards. So I'm that kind
You're
of a
emotional.
guy. I'm emotional. Yeah, emotional wreck. But anyways, that's for another podcast. So I'm going video games because I think in general, being that interactivity, like that Tony said, being part of the thing that could fuck up and freak me out more than watching anybody, go through it, unless it's really fucked up. But that's a rare thing. So it's already 2-1. But do you want to cast a real vote now?
This wishy-washy waffle bitch shit.
Waffle bitch. That's a good term.
I like Tony's point that like in a video game it can change. Like even in, if it's a video game you've played 17 times,
Right.
you could still do the same thing you did 16 times and it can have a different result. And whereas if you've watched the same movie 16 times, the 17th time it's the same thing's going to happen.
Yeah. And if it doesn't, then that's a weird ass movie you're watching.
Yeah, I'm just like, stop.
Yeah,
we're done.
That's Ju-on kind of grudge shit.
Yeah.
You're like, take out that DVD. So your answer is video games.
I'm going to go ahead and say video games just because of the unpredictability of it. That
Awesome.
Your actions actually dictate what happens next.
The winner is video games. Wait, the winner is scary video games.
Cool, we got it. All right, well, guys, it's been a pleasure to have you on my podcast. And
Likewise.
I've been on yours, and I'll be on yours in 2 seconds because we're doing dual podcasts today. And I hope to see T-shirts with a little dead inside. Is that what I said? A little dead inside?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome. And where can people find you? Obviously, the podcast is at,
GravePlotPodcast.com.
and you're both on Twitter.
We are, the best place to find us, though, is the show's Twitter, which is grave_plot.
And you guys tweet a lot. I've been noticing you tweeting a bunch.
Yeah, we try.
Yeah. Talk about, on the site talks about, movies, but like you said, it's not just movies. It's other stuff that's scary.
Yeah, it's movies, TV shows, video games, comics, toys.
We're even like on our upcoming episode. We've even got a real life story to talk about.
Whoa, like a scary story?
Yeah.
Sort of. Yeah.
Oh, all right.
It's a little
Wait, is
little real life horror.
it the one on I'm going to be on?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm scared. No. Is podcast an option for the scariest thing? Because that is now. And what are your individual Twitters? If you want to plug them, you can.
I am at Taylor B 1983.
That's hard to remember.
But
you
it
said
rhymes.
it. Oh, it does. Okay, that's right. And Tony, where are you at?
I'm just a barbecue butt.
That's your Twitter?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's
Barbecue
not,
butt.
BBQ though. It's BARBQUE.
And then 2 T's on the butt?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I don't really use it much though.
Yeah, it's just around. Who
Yeah.
knows? And that's awesome. And then this your podcast that I'm going to be on comes out when?
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Okay, cool. So this will
Wednesday
go.
the 11th.
Today is
The 7th.
7th. So this will go up on tomorrow, probably Sunday
Cool.
or Monday. Well, probably Sunday because E3's happening. And then so look for it on the 11th, the one I'm doing with you guys.
Cool.
Cool. All right. Thanks for having me and you having because I'm recording at your place. So thanks for having me on your podcast.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
A little dead inside.
Thank you for having us on yours.
Yeah, thank you. It was fun.
All right. Bye.
Edit point.
Oh, he does listen.